All right, joining me now is Bassil Hafez, who's coming off of a UFC Vegas performance, fight of the night against Jack Della Maddalena. Man, how are you feeling? It was quite the war, quite the experience, quite the whirlwind first week, I'm assuming. But you feeling physically, mentally? How are we feeling a couple days out, man?
I feel good, man. I feel really good. Honestly, I thought I'd feel worse right now, but I feel like I just could get into another fight, to be honest. The recovery was good. No concussion, no after effects. I did, so I mentioned it in other interviews, but I'll talk about it. I did actually spend the night in the ER after the fight, like that same night, because I had some complications with the weight cut that were after effects that I didn't even realize were as serious as they were. So I went to get a CAT scan and make sure that my brain was good, that I never had concussion, which I ended up didn't having at all, so it was good. And then they found out I had like air in my esophagus, and then when they did deeper tests, they found air around my heart, air around my lungs, and so it leads to a syndrome. I forget the name of it, but basically, I guess the air could get worse and compress and push around my heart, and then I could just basically die from a heart attack or from a stroke. So I had to like spend the night in the ER, and they fasted me, so I like went from the fight to a liquid diet right away and stayed overnight, and then didn't get released the next day. But after all that, I'm all good. I'm all healed up. So really, that's the only after effects. My face looks pretty dang good. I had several injuries going into the fight that I didn't mention that kind of, I think, limited my attack plan in terms of striking the things I could do. And so I still have those bothering me because they got a little worse in the fight, but honestly, I feel pretty dang good, man. Confidence is good. I took that fight in stride. I believe I won. But, I understand how he won. And so next time I make sure not to leave it up to the judges.
Yeah, and you can tell you're a true fighter saying that's all. I only spent one night in the ER. That's crazy. So I guess, is that something that just resolves itself like automatically, like the air issue? I mean, is that something that will have any longer term effects, or is it just a kind of a one-time flare up?
I think it was from the weight cut, like the amount of weight I cut and what I did. That's the only thing I can think of, because the doctor, honestly, he was kind of dumbfounded too. He said it was from the fight. And I said, no, it's not from the fight. And he thinks it's from any doctor would say it's from absorbing enough, like a hard enough hit. But I'm like, it would be in my head then, because honestly, his body shots, like he hits hard. He's a good fighter, but I feel perfectly fine. Like my body, I've been hit harder in training. So my body doesn't bother me at all. Like not one bit of soreness there. Really not much soreness in my face, only the bruising, and it's gone down a lot, and there's really no swelling anymore. I think it was from the weight cut. I had a drastic weight cut. I was hurting going into the fight even because I didn't fully recover from the weight cut, and I still fought my heart out. But I think that's what it was that put me in the hospital. I think it's going to resolve on its own from what he said, which makes sense because it was caused from the weight cut, and then I'm not doing weight cut anymore. So I think also they wanted to make sure they delayed my flight a little bit because I couldn't with the pressure issue. I wasn't good to fly right away too. So I don't know. I feel good now. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm going to probably do another chest x-ray to make sure I'm good, like in the future, like in the next 3 weeks or so. But knock on wood, man, I'm pretty good. I'm ready to go. I feel great.
And what kind of, I mean, you say it was obviously a tough weight cut. You had what, about 7 days? Or
No,
was it less than that?
4 days.
4 days. So I guess when you got
Monday night, I got the call. Monday night, I got the call from my manager when I was in strength conditioning, and I started water loading instantly, and I was like 199 Monday night, and then flew out Tuesday, and then been slowly cut the weight down as I went to weigh in at 171. And I would have made it on the first attempt if I was if I was able to take a piss before, because that's all I did. I weighed in at 171.5, saw the doctor, took a piss, came right back.
Yeah. They just wouldn't let you pee when you got down there?
No, I wouldn't say they wouldn't let me pee,
Yeah.
but they were rushing me to do one thing, and I was weight cut brain. I actually had to pee. I told a story on Ariel and other interviews. I had to pee so bad at the point where I was cutting weight at, and like I was in a friend's backyard basically, and I didn't want to pee in their backyard. Like I had like the thought of I really have to pee, and I was too tired to stand up. They had helped me stand up and everything. It was a bad weight cut, and when I was sitting down, I had a thought of like I'm just gonna go pee here. I don't care. But then I had a second afterthought of like, then I'll be covered in piss, and to them it's just like you just pissed yourself.
So it's funny because we watch weigh-ins a lot, right? And it's always the big joke. Somebody will get up there in their underwear and they'll weigh 171, and then they'll take the underwear off and it'll be 170. But maybe what you're telling me is that you've revealed the long-standing secret amongst fighters is because they all go up there because they just cover themselves in urine. That's what that is, right?
Yeah. I mean, if they're doing a bad enough weight cut, I hope to God they're not. Like, I don't ever want to do that. Like, Thankfully, I will not have to do any more weight cuts like that. I earned my place,
Yeah.
and I haven't done like something like that drastic in a long time either. 31, I try and make sure you get better as I've more seasoned, So no more of those. That's the last time I'm doing that. My body cannot handle it, and from now on it'll be good weight cuts. But yeah, no, maybe if we're doing drastic weight cuts, yeah, I mean you get to the point where you got to do some bodily functions and you can't walk on your own. You're just like fuck it, But yeah, I ended up thankfully not peeing on myself, and I forgot I had to pee because they got me up quickly, got me in the car. My manager and my team, Iridium, they saved the day, and my coaches Justin and Steve Wodinsky and my corner Harris Swanzik, they all really saved the day in reality because I was not able to really do a lot myself at that point. They guided everything, got me to the weigh-ins, and I could have been like, yo, let me pee real quick, and that would have probably been I would have been good. I would have been on weight, but I forgot I had to pee. Anyone who knows, like, probably someone who doesn't cut weight would never understand that. They're gonna be like, "How do you forget you have to pee?" I'm like, try weight cut, and then get to that point where you're on weight, and tell me the amount of things that you forget. You don't even know where you're at. Sometimes you don't know who you are. You don't know the distance from this to that. So after I weighed in, missed weight by 0.5, saw the doctor, gave me approval to cut the rest. I was like, I have to pee. Went and peed, checked my weight again, and I was like, I'm on weight. So they popped me back on the scale, and I was good.
Yeah. So then obviously, you mentioned how there was the after effects after the fight, but what do you feel like in the 24, 36 hours between the time that you can start rehydrating to the fight? Like, when you wake up the next morning, do you still feel kind of shitty or?
Yeah, usually you feel, I would say a little groggy, but you have energy because you should have got sleep. Usually you end up getting real sleep that time because I don't know any fighters unless they have a super smooth weight cut. You don't usually sleep the night before because it's very hard to sleep depleted, thirsty, hungry, like your organs sucking up against each other. So it's not easy to sleep the night before. So you end up usually waking rested up, a little groggy, but I don't know. I still had the weight cut after effects. Not gonna lie, I just didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about the injuries I had going in because it's nobody else's problem but my own. But yeah, I definitely was not. I was not 100% going into that fight where I like feel like okay, my lungs feel fine, my chest feels fine, my body feels fine. I was definitely still feeling the weight cut. I mean, I went and performed. I was able to. But yeah, the sloppiness, the gasness, the muscle fatigue, the certain things not firing as quickly as you wanted to. Yeah, a lot of that ties to the weight cut. I don't think people understand the weight cut aspect of our sport and how it really is a sweet science, and people do die from it because it's legit. You have to treat it seriously. You can't disrespect it. And I've had friends that have been hospitalized from weight cuts. Every fighter has a friend that's been hospitalized at one point from a weight cut. It's a serious business. If you don't do it right and you do too much, you can mess your body up bad. So I definitely think that made a huge difference into my performance. But one thing you're born with and you can't change, you can't learn is heart and grit. And I got that, and I show that, and that's always going to be there. You're always going to get that from me when I fight. And one thing you're always going to get is a guy who's trying to get another bonus too. So expect that every time I fight, regardless.
And I think that's the big thing that stuck out to me about your performance. Like people can debate the decision or whatever, but I think something that I even said this right after the fight was like you fought so intelligently in there, given what you were up against. You know what I mean? Like people could tell you were tired, but it seemed like even when you were gassing a bit, like you were still trying to fight smart. It was kind of evident that you were very focused on what was going on. So for you, how did you? I guess did you feel as comfortable as you looked in there, given all these elements? Like for a guy that was his first UFC fight, you seemed like you kind of had that veteran mentality.
Yeah, I mean, fighting as much as I have. I've been training for 13 years. I fought a lot of big cards. I've won big moments, 3 pro championships on the regional. I'm a black belt as well, so I've competed a lot in grappling as well in different points and against like top guys. I've competed against Gordon Ryan in my career. There's a bunch of guys from Dana-Her squad. I've just done a lot of competition, so you always don't feel great on competition day, but you know what you have to do mentally. You have to turn a switch on and just tell your body to shut the F up and tell your brain that you just have to accept where you're at right now and you're going to give the best that you can right now, regardless of where you're feeling. So, yeah, I mean, it was definitely not the best performance, not greatest product I could put out there. I felt that weight cut, but, professional. I got to be professional. I got to make sure that I go out there and still put my heart on the line and show that, I'm a hard-working fighter and that I was busting my ass to get to this moment for a reason and that I want to stay here. So yeah, it definitely wasn't ideal, but I showed what I'm capable of in that fight. And I think that's just like a taste, man. That weight cut affected me and I'm excited for the next one where I have proper weight cut and have a full camp as well. Yeah. I mean, during the moment, I definitely I think I did a good job of just this is like another company. This is just some business. I just got I treated it like I belonged. I didn't take a lot of time to sit back in my own reality and look around and go, man, I'm in my dreams right now. This is where I dreamt of being my whole life. I'm accomplishing my goals and my dreams. I didn't have that moment until I got back from the hospital after the fight, and I'm in the hotel room one more night, and I'm sitting up 3 hours straight, just eyes wide open, just looking at the ceiling. So that's probably when I came to the reality and grasped the moment. But I definitely treated it the right way and was professional when I needed to be.
Yeah, there's no question. Talk to me a little bit about the decision itself. It seemed like some people were on each side of the fence. I see both sides and perspectives. I think it's funny because judging, there's a lot of things that go wrong with it, but then there's also sometimes where it's a little bit interpretive, where when that went to the scorecard, just to be honest with you, I'm like, it could go kind of either way depending on what the judges were looking at. So for you, I don't know if you went back and watched it or whatever, but I guess kind of how does it sit with you a few days out from it?
I mean, I definitely still think I won based off the rule set of MMA. I know that people are going to say damage, but damage isn't everything. It's one part of the battle. I don't think that he was a complete massacre of one side of damage versus the other until the third round. And that was mainly, honestly, me just standing there exhausted, just his punches aren't going to put me out. So I was just like, okay, throw him. I was just that level of exhaustion. I was like, oh, my hands are down. That's what it's going to be right now. But no, I mean, I believe if you look at it, I think I won 2 out of the 3 rounds. You're supposed to win 2 out of the 3 rounds. I think a lot of times one extreme round happens and then the fight goes that way based off the extreme round, which is not really how it should be. And it wasn't a 10-8 because a 10-8 is complete domination, and I had him on his back at one point. That's what keeps it from being a 10-8. So, no, I really believe that I won the fight. I could see how he won the fight. I'm not going to argue that it's a unanimous, it should have been one way. No, I can see whatever judge gets called to come into that fight that day, that depends on who judges it and not me winning that fight or losing that fight. And that's really it. But regardless, it's water under the bridge. It doesn't change anything. It's not like I'm focused on it. But when I'm asked my opinion, I'm going to give the truth. And regardless, I moved on from it mentally. I still fight him again. I moved on to I would fight him again and prove that I can beat him on a full camp. Or, I'll just, obviously I'm going to fight, I think, the guys that I got to fight from the beginning of my contract and work my way up again. But, I mean, regardless, I moved on mentally. I've accepted that I accepted the result was going to be sloppy before going into the fight, knowing my situation, because I've fought enough and trained enough. A lot of times you just got to accept, where you're at and you know what you might put out there. And so it's kind of just bite down and just close my eyes and go, man. I'm like a soldier. I'm going into war. I just got to accept it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I talk about this big, and this is a big thing that's helped me. And my teammate Drew Dober has mentioned it. Right here, right now. That's a real thing. I'm not going to think about the future. I'm going to think about what happened right now, and that's it. Or what I got to do at this moment. I'm not going to think about what could happen in the future and what could happen here. What if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? What ifs are always going to be there. And what if my uncle or what if my aunt had balls? She'd be my uncle. I say that all the time. It just doesn't change anything. So I'm focused on right here, right now. I got to recover. I got to heal up, make sure my body's good. And then I got to go out there and put on a better performance than I put on the last time because I'm not happy with what I put out there. But do I think I won? Yes.
And interestingly enough, again, the past is in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. But I think for you, even if you go on, you become UFC champion, you go out and get 2 belts, I think this will always be something that people talk about when they talk about you and your legacy is remember that first fight when he came in, he fought Jack, and it was a good fight. And so I guess for you, are you cool with that angle kind of coming at you where people are probably going to ask you about a rematch a lot? Is that something that you feel will help build your character in the public sphere?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely want the rematch. That's a fact. I'm not scared of Jack at all. I'm sorry. I don't know I get why people fear certain things, but I'm at a point in my life, in my career, I don't fear anything, man. No, I fear no man. We're all built the same. And so some guys are just better at certain things than others. But in reality, if you're working on yourself and you're trying to be the top of the top, then you want to test yourself against these guys because you want to see where you stand. And then now you know what more I need to do and what more I need to focus on because I want to be able to cleanly beat this guy and prove that I want to be a champion. I want all this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, look back on this. That's I'm happy. I'm not going to sit here and, I'm not going to be down on myself. I'm down that I lost. I get that. I'm down that I didn't maybe be as technical and do some things as cleanly as I wanted to. But man, I got to be grateful. I got to be grateful for the fact that I went out there. Everyone got to see my heart and my grit. I put on a war. I put on a great fight, which is always what I'm trying to do, give the sport justice. And I did it against a top-ranked guy who nobody else, not many guys wanted to fight. And I did it on 4 days' notice. I got off my couch in 4 days, and I put it on this motherfucker. So that's how I see it. Like, if I don't look at it like that, then something wrong with me. You got to be grateful for certain things. You got to be happy with some things. I get be hard on yourself. I'm humble in everything else, and I'm humble in the process. But I also understand my what I'm capable of, and I'm excited to just keep growing and keep getting better in each fight. And this is going to be looked back on as like Bassil bonus his first fight, and he bonus every single fight. Shit, hopefully, I want to bonus every single fight.
Do you think though, like you to a certain, you're a very confident person, and I think it's a really commendable attribute that you got to have to be successful. At the same time, did you kind of prove something to yourself on Saturday? Like, this is the guy that everybody's saying is going to be the next big thing, and here I am on 4 days' notice with a bad weight cut in my first UFC fight, and I'm arguably going out there and winning the majority of this fight against him.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I already knew who Jack was before I got signed to the UFC. Unless if you're a welterweight and you're trying to be in the UFC, and you say you don't know who Jack is, then you just don't watch any fights, in my opinion. Because look, the guy was he ran through all of his first opponents in the first round, and they weren't like bums. Some of them may be better than others, obviously, but none of them were bums. And so, man, Jack's a great fighter still. I think I'm a fucking great fighter, and put some respect on my name. I think I'm just as good as any of these top 15 guys, and you'll see that. Time will tell. And you're gonna remember this interview. Remember these times I'm talking about that this was not a fluke of a bum coming in. This is another great fighter who just deserved to be there and finally got there, and then showed his level of fighter he is. This is just the beginning. Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to eventually fight him again one day and get that back. But until then, I'm going to continue to improve, for sure.
And a lot of times with the short notice opportunities, when we see guys step in, I think just talking to some of them, and when they get maybe a tougher than a usual debut opponent presented to them, like you did with Jack, there's always like a risk reward sort of thought, right? Like, I'm going in there against a guy that A, he's got a full camp, and B, like, he's supposed to be the next big thing. But there's also that big reward where this might be not a fight that if you had just got signed per se without the short notice, like maybe they wouldn't have given you Jack to start. But here you are, and you had the opportunity to kind of not take something from him, but take something from the opportunity that could really build yourself up, expedite it, right? So with that, do you feel like seeing the outpouring of support and all the posts and retweets and Instagram posts, and it seems like you have overnight essentially gained quite the fan base who's going to be wanting to tune into whatever UFC card you're on to see you. So can you talk about that opportunity and taking that sort of risk, and how, I'm assuming you've seen all this sort of these nice messages and everything like that?
Yeah, man, I love it, man. I really do. I appreciate all of it. It's like not one moment do I take any of it for granted. I appreciate everyone's love. I appreciate people wanting to tune in and watch me. That's what you want from the person you tune in to watch. I'm a football fan. I'm an Eagles fan. I'm going to tune in and watch. I want to see the players play hard and then appreciate the fan love. That's in any situation. That's what makes this whole cycle work, And so I love everyone's love. That's it. You got to love. And like, if someone hates on me, then that's cool. Maybe they're not happy with their own life, and then they'll figure out their own situation. And I wish them the best with that. I'm at peace. I'm at peace in life because I've accepted all the bad things I've gone through, and I've gone through a lot of bad things in life. I've lost a lot of people I care about and love. And at the end of the day, man, life is short and life is fragile. So like, I love every bit of this, man. I'll take all the love, all support, and I embrace it. I want to do what I can to give back in every way I can, and I'm going to continue to do that in my career. Like, to just do things, good things for people, and good things to give back to the fans that love me, because, I love that, and I love being a fighter. It's my dream. It's been my dream to be in the UFC and to do this. So, yeah, no, I'm just appreciative of it. Jack's a great fighter. Jack's a beast. We put on a good fight. He's the kind of dude I feel like if we're both in the schoolyard, we're gonna step up and scrap. Like, that's just kind of dude he is. We don't care who he's scrapping. I know he took a unranked guy, a debut guy who really a lot of people were sleeping on, and he had a war with me, and he took a risk. I appreciate him doing that, and I appreciate him giving me the opportunity. And so, I'm happy. I'm absorbing it all in, and I love everyone's love. I think I deserve it, and I've been training for a long time and busting my ass in the gym to prove I deserve it. And I think I proved that, and I'm gonna continue to prove that. It's not just like I fought one hard fight and everyone loved me. It's like, no, you just got a taste. Like, I just baked a bunch of good baked goods. You just got a cookie. That's all you got in that first fight.
And can you talk about maybe a little bit of how difficult this journey was up for you up until this point? Because I think, again, 4 days notice, you get dropped into the public spotlight. People probably got to see your Tapology and maybe they checked out your media day, but wasn't a lot of time for interviews, wasn't a lot of time for people to maybe go back and research you. But you've been doing this for a while, like you said. We talked, I think, last time for an interview in April of 2021. I looked before we hopped on here. You were for our On the Doorstep Prospect series, and you had a loss, and then you came back and you won a few, and then you got the call. So it's more than just you showing up on Saturday. Like there's years and years that have gone into this. So can you talk about that grind and how much you feel like you were kind of vindicated for doing that on Saturday?
Yeah, it's just it's a long culmination, man, of everything I've experienced, the losses I've had, the losses of my career I've had. Man, so many things have just happened. I think so many times I thought I wasn't gonna make it, and then I get another opportunity, and then I succeed, and then something sets me back, and so it's kind of became like the cycle of Basel in a way. It's my cycle. It was like just do something good, do something bad, something good, something bad. So I feel like I finally broke that cycle by recently in my recent success in my career and what it will be going forward. But yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. I had a Maverick MMA. My first pro title was Maverick MMA, and then I won the CFFC welterweight title with a first round submission. Both of those actually, I won Maverick MMA title with a first round submission, CFFC welterweight title with a first round submission, and then I won the Fury FC title with a third round KO. All of them I had preparation and time to get ready for them, and they were the biggest challenges in my life. So, I mean, yeah, I've experienced a lot, and it's just a culmination of finally achieving my dream, finally being in the UFC, being a UFC fighter. Yeah, it's surreal. It's trying not to get all emotional again, but I mean, I'm making my parents proud. I'm making my family proud, and I'm showing myself that I am who I thought I was, and I'm here to stay.
Yeah, and I know maybe this isn't the thing that's been on your mind the last couple of days. You've probably been in a rare reflective state. I know you said you don't like to look on the past, but you seem very appreciative of the role you're in right now and kind of soaking it in. But have you thought about kind of when you want to fight again, or just kind of laying back, healing up for now, and seeing when they hit you up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to scrap in the fall, probably late fall, maybe just more time this year at least. That's the goal. Minimum of one more time this year, if I can. Yeah. I
Awesome,
mean, I
man.
feel
Well, I
good.
know.
No injuries. Like nothing's bothering me. My face healed up pretty good. I don't have a concussion. I have other things that I went into the fight with, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna let them heal up and get them all good, so that I can attack my next camp like a crazy guy who's trying to freaking prove to the world still something. So I'm excited. Next time I fight, it's gonna be fireworks again.
Can you maybe explain for people like what the difference is going to be? Like the guy that we saw on Saturday versus the guy we're going to see next fight.
Yeah, I
You've had
mean,
some, yeah.
you're going to see someone who is in shape, someone who is going to be a lot more technically sound. You're going to see a lot better better transitions and better technique changes to different things. You'll be kind of less flying by the wind and seat of my pants. So everything's going to be calculated and controlled, and I'm going to be in better shape.
Cool, man. Well, can't wait to see it. Congratulations. I think it was a big night for you on Saturday, regardless of the judges' scorecards there. And super happy to hear everything kind of finally came together. You finally can call yourself a UFC fighter. You have fans that are hitting you up, random people around the world that appreciated what they saw on Saturday. So congrats on all that, man.